What's up everybody, hope all is well. Let's start with a question. Would you consider Overwatch 2 a success? This is where a third of you nod approvingly, a third shakes their head with contempt, and the rest shrugs their shoulders with indifference. Such disparate opinions are the way of Overwatch now, and it's unfortunate, don't you think? And therein lies the problem. It begs the question, what happens to a game and its community when its target demographic shifts, when the vocal majority of dedicated, hardcore veterans is slowly but surely replaced by more casual, less invested new players? When the point of it all shifts from being the best game possible to the most profitable one, because that's what's happening to Overwatch right now, for better or worse. And I've got to be honest, I feel it in-game, on forums, from content creators, and even the devs themselves. There's a distinct lack of consensus on wants, needs, and problems, and there's a distinct lack of consistency in the game's direction. It says to me that Overwatch 2 is currently straddling two fundamentally different populations, and Blizzard hasn't been as definitive as they should be in deciding exactly who the game's meant for. Now, this is all anecdotal on my part, I admit that, but for those of you who are legit gamers, which I'm guessing is pretty much everyone watching this, you know, when you get deeply involved and invested in games and the communities long term, these types of growing pains become obvious. Sometimes things work out, sometimes not, but you always feel it. The worry, well, my worry at least, is by attempting to reach a broader market, a game can lose some of its magic, some of the very things that made it successful in the first place. Gameplay, features, quirks, community, and often these are intangibles, not easily understood or replicated, and I'd argue Overwatch, more than most, relies on those intangibles, on that magic. I don't know, let's do it.
There are over 7 million people who log on. Are you telling me all those people's characters are going to die, and there's nothing we can do to save them?
Yes, and it won't be long before everyone gets really frustrated and stops playing altogether. Gentlemen, this could very well lead to the end of the world.
Let's get this out of the way. I don't think anyone doubts Blizzard intentionally chased a new demographic with Overwatch 2, going free to play, homogenizing roles, a battle pass, the monetization, PvE, I mean my god, PvE, and Blizz openly admits such. John Spector's quoted as saying they hit their goal in attracting new players to Overwatch 2, so we know it was an actual action item, and by all accounts they executed on it. So, you know, good for them, but I wanted to make that point because the rest of the video relies on that understanding, that the Overwatch 2 player base is a mix of two types, each with their own ideals and values and expectations, with their own views of what a video game should be. So let's make some assumptions about those two populations. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. The veteran player base comes from Overwatch 1. I'm in this group.
Why are you so sweaty?
I was watching Cops.
These are the people who experienced the complete history of the game firsthand, who watched its meteoric rise the first 3 years and the eventual downfall into stagnation the last 3. And they played through it all for one reason. It was a phenomenal game. That's it, and I stress the word game. Super fun to play, super unique, super refined, and despite the occasional balance issues, it was fundamentally sound, especially its competitive aspect, which I'd argue is probably a paramount import here. But about a year later, Fortnite PvP launched, and they did so with a free-to-play model. Not the first, but it absolutely came to define it. By the end of Overwatch 1, some 6 years later, the writing was on the wall. Every major online PvP shooter had gone free-to-play and was more successful, both financially and in terms of player count. And Overwatch either had to follow suit or fall further behind, and follow suit they did. In terms of a business model, Overwatch 2 is basically Fortnite with an Overwatch skin and higher prices. And that drew in our second population, new players.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy, it's that I just don't care.
People who had been brought up on games like Fortnite the last 6 years and had come to expect something different. A good game is important to them, but it's everything else that carries an equal, sometimes greater weight on their decision to play. It needs frequent updates and changes to hold their interest. It needs to be a social media hit. It needs to synergize with external parties via collaborations. It needs a reason to keep playing, a progression system, like a battle pass. It needs a lot of skins and items to collect or buy. It needs to feel like a living product that's easily accessible so all their friends can play. I'd argue that's probably a paramount import here. Now, I don't think either of those populations are wrong per se or right. To be honest, they're just different, such is life. But this is where I have to throw a little blame Blizzard's way. I think they've waffled a bit on exactly who they're making the game for. Up until about a month ago when Season 3 started, I would have said Blizzard was firmly committed to attracting that new crowd, right? I mean, does anyone doubt that? But lately, they've sent subtle signals there might be a change of heart. at least to some degree.
The primary focus, like I gave a presentation about this to the leadership team last year. Like the primary focus for this year is supporting their players, like not supporting future players or the dream of future players who want to come in and play something else, but the players that we have today, like the people that are there day in and day out. Because if we don't do that, there is no game. There is no Overwatch. There's no Overwatch team. There's nothing else, right?
Name of the game? Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
We want more money.
I need more money.
Lots of money. Can we have some money?
Just more money, you know.
All I want is a couple of bucks and a sweet.
Money. I need money.
Stay with me.
The internet. The internet makes lots of money.
Seriously, do you have my money?
How does $1 million sound?
$1 billion.
A G5 airplane.
I just bought a giant room full of gold coins, and I'm gonna dive into it like Scrooge McDuck.
So give us some of that money.
Where's my money? Do you have my money? Where is it?
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
The money in your account, it didn't do too well, it's gone.
What do you mean? I have $100.
Not anymore, you don't. Poof.
Where's my money?
So, you got my money?
For a little bit of money.
Where's my money?
Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
Do you have my money?
What?
Do you have my money?
How could I?
Do you have my money?
Yeah, fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust.
Where's the money?
I heard you can customize your own lightsaber.
Or you can grow a conscience in the next 5 minutes and see where that takes you.
So what's at risk? A lot actually, but let's start with the fear I shared earlier, that games, when trying to attract a wider audience, often lose some of the magic that made them special. I mean, the industry's littered with these, but we don't even need to look outside Blizzard. Diablo Immortal is perhaps the definitive example, just a total travesty in every regard. I made an awesome video about that game, by the way, like one of my favorites I ever made, and no one's ever watched it. So anyways, if you played Diablo Immortal, you could tell. The game we'd all come to love was there, somewhere, just obfuscated, buried under a mountain of egregious engagement and monetization systems that straight up ripped the soul right out of it. It was not made for Diablo fans. It was not trying to be the best game possible, rather the most profitable one. And it failed. Or did it? Sure made a lot of money, but nearly destroyed the brand, so, you decide. Another potential pitfall is what we see now, a distinct lack of consensus on the wants, needs, and issues of Overwatch. A few days ago, I stumbled onto a Reddit thread that posed the question, are we living in a golden age of Overwatch? As a day one player, my immediate reaction was, that's just absurd. But as I read, I was surprised to see some seemingly, genuinely believing it might be, despite the matchmaking, 5v5, and monetization. But then it dawned on me, if you're a new player, there's a good chance you don't even see how bad matchmaking or 5v5 is. And there's a chance you actually like the battle pass and store and pricey skins, so who am I to judge? But the point I'm trying to make isn't about that thread. Rather, it's just another data point suggesting, yeah, there are some wildly different types of players trying to enjoy Overwatch. And that lack of consensus, of community cohesion, is communicated to the devs in various ways, only compounding any confusion they might have regarding what direction the game should take. Which brings me to my next point. A distinct lack of consistency in the game's direction. Love it or hate it, at least in Overwatch 1, we knew everything revolved around the competitive aspect, balanced from the top down, a solid ladder system, a pro play team focused. It had competitive integrity. But Overwatch 2 seems to be flip-flopping. Balance has been hit or miss, the ladder system's been broken for months, the matchmaker even worse, 2 players removed and an emphasis placed on solo carry. And yet, even when some heroes weren't available due to bugs, we could always count on the store being up, and a new battle pass full of things to grind or buy is always on schedule. And I haven't even talked about PvE yet. A few years ago, Overwatch 2 was a thing because of PvE, but then a flip. It was delayed and an emphasis placed instead on launching PvP, but then a flop. The PvP is worse and it appears to all have been a cover just to add monetization, but then a flip. 4 months in, we've got Jared saying they made a mistake and the core of the game is actually PvP. And now another flop. It appears PvE isn't going to be what they originally sold us on. I mean, geez, what is this game supposed to be? Do you feel me?
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
All that and more can add up to create a situation where the brand itself takes a hit severe enough it'll be years before it recovers, if at all. And that's what's really at stake here. It's not unreasonable to say trying to convert an entire established customer base is a gamble, a bet, a billion-dollar future or slow decline into irrelevancy. So, final thoughts. I hate making negative videos. I hope it didn't come off that way. Instead, I'm aiming for more of a community type message here. I think there's a middle ground. I do, honest. And I think Blizzard's capable of finding it, especially with, all the money they're making now. I'm just saying. And here's my message to Blizzard. Overwatch needs competitive integrity returned to the game. First, you have to fix the matchmaker. We all see you're working on it, so thank you. We appreciate it, but it's this simple. SR ranges should be limited to 5 tiers in all cases. Don't even bother forming matches outside that. Just let people wait. Second, make a solo queue. Third, make a rookie season for first-time ladder players or accounts. Fourth, do something about smurfing. Fifth, add keyboard and mouse to console. And finally, add transparency. Let us see player ranks on ladder at match start again. I think you've got a good grip on all the free-to-play stuff I do. Now you just need to work on the actual game again. The reason people play and continue to play is for that experience. The longer you let it slide, the more you compromise competitive integrity for accessibility, the more everyone suffers. I mean, you're making gobs of money, record revenue. I'm happy for you, but you have to be asking yourself, how long can that continue? And with that, I'm done. I appreciate you taking the time. Take care of one another, and I will see you soon.